Oh, good morning to folks online and to all of you here. Thanks for joining us this morning. As always, I try to record and do my Tuesday training and tactics in person and online. Today, we are talking about the new Owners Delayed and Limited Marketing Election Addendum. Oops. So let's get started. Get this out of the way. So I hope all of you know that there's a new document around. For those of you that have been with Realty One Group, this is replacing a document we used to have called, let's see, what was it called? It was called Owners. Yes, it's replacing one of our own documents, but somebody thought that that meant clear cooperation was going away. That is not true. It is just a new document effective September of 2025. It's called Owners Delayed or Limited Marketing Election Addendum. In this case today, I am going to go over the entire document so that you are aware of what you're working with. Please understand that it is a very simple form, but we're going to talk about clear cooperation as we go on. We're first going to go over the document and the changes to the listing agreement that impact this so that you can understand that. And then we'll go into a little history on NAR's clear cooperation. So pretty simple. The front of this is filled in when you are doing your listing contract, right? You know, when you're talking to your owner, when are they planning on going on the market, or are they delaying that time on the market? We'll talk about coming soon. This is not replacing coming soon. This is before you go any type of marketing. Coming soon is marketing, okay? So instructions, this is to be used only in instances which owner declines to immediately market the premises broadly to the general public. There. All right, so let's see about this little bite here. So I'll put myself over on the side. Marketing disclosure and acknowledgement. This is the part you are talking to your client about when the owner is looking to list the property and you're having that conversation about the timing. Or if they're not wanting to be on the market at all, right? They want a pocket listing. Many of our luxury listings are pocket listings, folks. I will be upfront with that. We have plenty of listings here at Realty One Group that never go on ARMLS or any of the other MLSs in the state, okay? But basically, this is owner acknowledges and understands that by choosing to delay or limit the immediate marketing of the premises broadly to the general public may result in 1, a longer time to sell, 2, fewer offers, 3, a lower purchase price, and or 4, the premises not being displayed on some well-known real estate websites for the duration of the listing contract. That last one is one that I keep getting questions about. We all know who that well-known real estate website is, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So the owner can instruct listing broker to broadly market the premises to the general public at any time via written notice, even if they previously elected otherwise. What document would you use to adjust that and go ahead and put that in writing? Now, it just says in written notice, okay? So you could technically take an email from your client that says, put my property on the market, right? We would prefer you do a listing contract addendum with that change and make sure you're hitting all of these points. When are you going on the market? Is it full visibility? Are you doing coming soon? What are you doing so that we get all of that information in one spot? That would be a listing contract addendum. But if you've already discussed this and you know you're on hold while you're getting videos done, maybe they're doing some staging, maybe they're doing a little renovation, right? So you decide, you take the listing, it's October, you take the listing today, and they say, you know, maybe we'll be ready to go early December, but maybe it'll be January, all right? And that's your conversation, right? So that's fine, but before you actually go active, we need to know those dates. We need to know that they're shifting and wanting to go on ARMLS, okay? But again, it's written notice. What would be my preference? My preference is the listing contract addendum, because hopefully you will think through all of the elements that we need to know, not just it's going on the market on this date. Because if in fact it's coming soon, we need to know the date it's going in is coming soon, and then the date that it'll actually go active, all right? So then the election by the owner is after having discussed marketing options with their listing broker. Owner chooses to delay or limit marketing of the premises to the general public as follows. Right, let's go ahead and look at the other page, because this is going to make these options very clear. Either it's delayed marketing, and the listing broker will not market the premises through syndication or IDX feeds to real estate websites accessible to the general public for the maximum time allowed by MLS or earlier if instructed otherwise by owner in writing. What does this mean? Does anybody have a guess on what that's talking about? Does anybody know what the maximum time allowed, when that's going to trigger that right there? This is coming soon. Okay.
30 days, right?
It's 30 days. The MLS policy exactly is 30 days. So it becomes challenging if your client says, well, we're going to do some renovation, think it's going to take 2 weeks. And you're like, is it really going to take 2 weeks, or is it going to take 3 or 4? I mean, you got to know what they're doing on the property, because if you go in coming soon, you have to activate in 30 days. You do not have a choice unless you literally cancel the listing and put a new listing up. There is no option with ARMLS. Does everybody understand that? As coming soon, it trips at that 30-day point. Click. You don't control it. You can't stop it. You can't do anything. It goes to active. So if somebody's talking to you about doing some renovations or a delay of this or a delay of that, make sure it's not going to be more than 30 days for the coming soon. Okay. The other one is limited marketing. This is an office exclusive. Again, we have a lot of these in our office because the luxury market. There are owners that do not want their property visible to the public, that it is on the market. They do not want people on all those other websites seeing tours. In fact, they won't take floor plans. They won't do tours. They do not want their floor plan visible to other people. Again, this is on the higher end market. I'm not talking $1 million. I'm talking 3, 4, 10, $20 million properties. You are not finding most of those on the internet. They're just not there. Some of them are, but a lot of them are not. So limited marketing, this would be an office exclusive. If you have a client looking for that and you're in Realty One Group, I would be getting on the phone to our top producers and asking them what they have, especially if you're looking in the Paradise Valley, Scottsdale area. I trust me when I tell you they have plenty of listings that you do not see on ARMLS. So if you've got a buyer in that price point, or if you've got a listing coming up in that price point, I'd be picking up the phone and calling them and say, do you have any buyers looking for this? But that's the nice thing about office exclusive. You're allowed to talk to them. You're a part of Realty One Group. Okay. So you absolutely can do that. Now, additional terms, there is a spot in there to put stuff. You just can't change the rules, and you can't go around NAR rules by these additional terms and conditions. So be very careful what you put there. I usually put in my regular listings when I've told this story before, but I've taken listings in January and knew that we were not putting them up until the end of the school year, right? We weren't going to put them in until May, maybe early June, once school was over. And I don't know about you, but I swear there's like a big cloud with arrows on it. When I talk to somebody that is looking to list a property, and all of a sudden it's like unbelievable that they start getting people knocking on their doors literally the day after they talk to me. So if you go to a listing appointment, get the ER signed. I don't care if they're not going to list for 6 months. Make sure you've got a long enough ER. But if you know they're not listing for 6 months, get the ER signed. Put something like this in the additional terms, which is very simple. Owner instructs broker to adjust the start date to match the date the listing goes active or coming soon in ARMLS, comma, whichever is sooner. Okay. So the idea is that if you take a listing in January, don't put it on the market till May. You sure as heck don't want to put a January 10th date as the start date in ARMLS, because it's going to show that you've been marketing that property. Now, I usually you're not marketing the property. Now, could you have been marketing the property in the office exclusive? Yes. But the reality is that what you want to do is capture from day one when you go on to ARMLS that you are actually going on the market to the general public, because you have not been doing that. Okay. So I'm sure there are variations on how people perceive that, but I don't know about you, but I literally swear there are clouds over houses once a seller decides. It's kind of like your phone, right? You think all of a sudden about buying a raincoat, and all of a sudden your phone starts showing you raincoats for sale, right? I think the same thing happens when somebody starts thinking about selling their home. So if you get the opportunity for that listing appointment, take it, right? Do it immediately. All right, so the bottom of this obviously gets the owner signs. And then on the bottom, it talks about brokerage, which means this is a document that needs to be into our files within 72 hours. Now, this should be going in with your listing documentation, right? You're doing an ER. This is going with the ER. This is not some separate document that 2 months later you go, oh yeah, I forgot we need delayed marketing. Now, one of the issues that's coming up with our compliance folks is that they're checking the box for a sign, and then they're putting things in. Okay, I've got people doing a bunch of chatting here, folks. I normally don't even look at chatting here, so I am not sure. So yes, this needs to be with every contract. Folks, please don't put it in chat because I don't have a separate screen, unfortunately. So it's really hard for me to watch that. But yes, that should be with every contract, with every listing agreement. So here's the exclusive right to sell. I'm going to go ahead and show you just the paragraphs that have changed. You will notice that the ER is dated September 2025. You need to make sure that that is the ER you are using, not the one from February of 2025. Right, so down on 172 to 175, it says owner's choice on marketing. Owner does or does not authorize listing broker to immediately market the premises to the general public, right? If owner does not authorize listing broker to immediately market the premises broadly to the general public, listing broker and owner will complete AAR's owner's delayed and limited marketing election addendum or similar authorization. So if you check does not, then you better have this owner's delayed and limited marketing election addendum, or compliance will put that down there saying they need it. Now, I just want to show you, I'm going to move this out of the way here for those of us in person. I want to show you, this was the old version, okay, of what was in the ER, and I just want to show you the new version. It changes the wording a little bit, and I'm not going to read this specifically, but you will see that it's changing how they're defining this, right? MLSs are databases versus the other one talking about listing broker is authorized to provide information, which there are participant and disseminator. So they've changed all of that to streamline it to talk about MLSs being databases. Broad exposure of the premises is made by distributing information about the premises through multiple listing services, which the listing broker participates, and making such information accessible to, number one, MLS brokers, right? So all of us that are brokers under the MLS, consumers using the brokers' platforms, and then three, the general public accessing real estate platforms. Listing broker is authorized to provide any and all information regarding the premises to any MLS of which listing broker is a participant. Then it goes on to say listing broker is authorized to report the sale or rental of the premises, its price, terms, and financing through the MLS to MLS participants and the general public. Let me see if I can move myself out of the way here. All terms of the transaction, including sale price and financing, if applicable, will be provided to the MLS and may be provided to the MLS even if the premises is not listed with the MLS. Now, that one I have not seen, but interesting that it can go in there eventually. I just wanted to make sure you saw the shift of what has changed on your ER. It's very interesting. They both start at the same line of 162, but obviously this new one has a few more bits of information. Oops, why is that not just, that's the 2025 version. Let's take a step back though. Where is this all coming from and why? Because I think it's important to understand this is from NAR's clear cooperation policy. And I got asked by an agent the other day, so with this new document, does that mean clear cooperation is gone? No, it does not. And it's not going anywhere. So that is a big part of that they were trying to get a step ahead of the lawsuit, honestly, but did not solve all those issues. So to be very clear, the clear cooperation policy is very simple. Within 1 business day of marketing a property to the public, the listing broker must submit the listing to the MLS for cooperation with other MLS participants. 1 business day, so it's not 24 hours, it is 1 business day. So if on Friday you put a sign in a yard, when does it have to be either coming soon or active in the MLS?
24 hours.
Monday.
Monday, 1 business day. Monday is 1 business day. So by the end of Monday, which in our term from realtor speak is 11:59 p.m., on Monday, it has to be in the MLS. Whoever said 24 hours, please remove that from your vocabulary. That is not correct. So if you want to play the system, you can put that in on, you can put a sign up on a Friday and you don't actually have to have it in the system till Monday. Not quite sure why you would want to do that, but if it's a neighborhood that you know you're going to get a lot of traffic from that sign, you can do that. Okay. But that is the rule. Now, the challenge is people don't seem to understand what public marketing is, right? So we can all agree putting a sign in a yard is public marketing. Everybody can see it, right? Unless it's in a gated community, but still other people can see it, okay? It is a broad definition, right? It says that any of these could trigger that 1 business day requirement. Yard signs, flyers, digital marketing on public facing websites, right? Including the IDX and the VAL systems, multi-brokerage listing sharing networks. Those of you working with the top producer, that's multi-brokerage listing sharing networks. Get a lot of people saying that that's not included. I beg to disagree. I think it is included because it is different brokerages sharing that data. Email blasts, any apps that are open to the general public, okay? Any one of those would trigger the public marketing, okay? The rationale is to prevent pocket listings or limit exposure listings that bypass the MLS, and they're for the reasons that they feel that it might undermine transparency, reduce competition, or raise fair housing concerns. So there are reasons that they put this forward, not just because they were trying to stop pocket listings. There were other things that they were concerned about, okay? So the trigger is marketing to the public, not signing your listing agreement. I've had some agents that think, well, I signed my listing agreement, so now I have to have it in the MLS. That is not true, okay? It's that public facing part of this that makes the difference. So, and coming soon complies. If you have it in coming soon, that's okay, right? Because it is visible to the public. But you only have 30 days in the coming soon status. So be very careful with that. And those of you that are not aware of something's coming soon, that does not mean you can't see it. It just means they have it listed as coming soon. In fact, I don't know, last year sometime I called on a property that was coming soon. And the agent said, and for you, for making this call, yes, you're welcome to see the property. I'm just trying to see who is actually on top of their business and decides they want to call on this property. Like, okay, I'll go show my client the home, right? Don't think that coming soon means you can't try to get your client in. Absolutely try to get your client in, right? That's your job as a buyer's agent, okay? As a listing agent, you have to have that conversation with your seller. In this coming soon status, do you want us showing the home? Because sometimes they're like, oh no, it means I'm not showing it until XYZ date. And they're not prepared, the home isn't cleaned, whatever, right? And so you need to have that conversation. The minute we go coming soon, there will be calls on this property. Are you prepared to let me show that? And what is that schedule, right? Because it's got to be ready when you go coming soon if you're going to do that. Now, if it's under construction, you know that they're making repairs. I love your enthusiasm. Thank you very much. But they are getting the home prepared to be on the market on this date. We will be ready for showings on this date. Please feel free to call me the day before. If there's anything we can do, we'll try to get you in the day before. But at this point, that is our schedule, right? But you have to have that answer. You got to be prepared for that, okay? Exemptions, this is talking about office exclusive listings, right? Listing broker markets only within their own firm, which for everybody here means all of Realty One Group, not Realty One Group Integrity or Realty One Group Mountain Desert. Those are franchisees. Those are different companies with different designated brokers, right? They've got franchise owners. They're not owned by Realty One Group. They're franchises, okay? But any of the 3,000 plus agents in Maricopa County that are with Realty One Group, that's our office exclusive. That's a lot of people, folks, and a lot of listings. So coming soon, delayed marketing. Now, this is generic. Remember, this is saying some MLSs allow coming soon status, which must still be submitted with 1 business day of public marketing is probably what it says there. I don't know. I can't see. My screen is blocking. Oops. Move that out of the way. Public marketing. Yeah. Okay. So we'll try to get that out of the way over there. What's next?
Melissa,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a question to confirm.
I got a question here. I'll repeat it to you guys online.
The coming soon still counts towards, in the eyes of Zillow and Redfin, they consider that public marketing, right? With internal agents.
So the question is, does Zillow or Redfin count the days in coming soon as days in the public? Yes, and for those that do not know, our listings under coming soon are now showing as coming soon in Zillow, which they were not before.
And if it exceeds the 24 hours.
No. Because it's now on their platform.
Oh, I see.
They're getting our data as coming soon now, so they're happy. So the question before, I wish Melissa hadn't disappeared. The question before was, can your listing go on to Zillow if it's more than that 24 hours? And I think that's what you were referring to about the 24 hours earlier. But Zillow now is getting our coming soon feeds. Someone informed me of that yesterday. I did speak to ARMLS yesterday and their data integrity division. Really important note for you though with this, Zillow is only swiping that data several times a day. It is not an automatic push. They have to reach in and grab the data from ARMLS. When they do that, they are limited on how many grabs a day they get. So if you put a listing in at 5 p.m. or 5:30 and they've already grabbed at 5 o'clock, it may or may not get grabbed again at 9 or 10. ARMLS couldn't give me the number of times they grab, or if there's any routine that it's every 2 hours or what. So if you've got an anxious owner that's watching Zillow, just explain it may be the next day, because you don't know when those grabs are taking place, and they are limited on them, which I find fascinating.
It
So-
is interesting because originally the threat was they're not gonna show it. They're
Correct.
gonna get access to it and they're gonna ban the listing.
Mhm.
And now they get kind of access, they can have limited access, limited swipe.
Correct. So it's limited swipes, but they are getting the data, so let them know. And so that means that they will have that data moving forward. For those that are not familiar with ARMLS, I would encourage all of you to go to armls.com, by the way, not Flex, okay? I just want to show you ARMLS is the one that is, these rules are coming through our multiple listing system, right? These are the rules they've had to put into place because of NAR. They had to put these rules in place. So for those that don't know, ARMLS was at the forefront of the coming soon delayed marketing. So they actually had that in place before many other MLSs across the country ever put that into existence, okay? So this is talking about, this section applies to exempt listings, right? Multiple listing options. So again, there can be exempt listings, office exclusive and coming soon. Hard copies of the listing agreements for exempt listings are not required to be, I don't know what FWA means. Does anybody know what FWA is? Oh, filed with Armless. I'm sorry, filed with ARMLS is what my guess is. ARMLS and the Subscribers Association shall, upon request, have the right to receive a copy of the listing agreement at any time to ensure compliance with the rules. So if we've got an exclusive listing here at Realty One Group, it is not going on the MLS. We do not have to send ARMLS our copy of that listing contract. We have to have it in our system, but that's what filed with is, I'm almost positive that means filed with ARMLS. There you go. See, I was pretty good on guessing that one. Okay. Office exclusive is an exempt listing where the seller has directed the listing participant that their property not be disseminated through the MLS and not be publicly marketed. An office exclusive listing is not required, again, to be filed with ARMLS, so long as it adheres to these rules and Section 8's clear cooperation policy. If you didn't notice, that was the NAR number. It is Section 8. Coming soon. Now, remember, this was written before ARMLS had this in place long before these recent things, right? So is an exempt listing where the seller has directed the listing participant to delay public marketing of that listing through the IDX and public portal syndication for any period as allowed by the local MLS in its unfettered discretion. I think that's fascinating. A coming soon listing shall be filed with ARMLS and does not preclude the listing firm from marketing the listing in a manner consistent with the seller's choice. Then it's talking about rules about this listing status, which we've kind of gone over. I'll see if I have that next section. Guess I do. So here's the exempt listing disclosure. Is a disclosure required to accompany an exempt listing, office exclusive or coming soon agreement? That was what we used to have. We used to have the office exclusive in our office. We had our own agreements. Now that's going away. We're just using this other document, which must be signed by the seller. It has to disclose the professional relationship between the listing participant and the seller. It's funny that they say seller. All of our documents say owner, but that's fine. They didn't write the documents. AAR did. AAR did. Acknowledgement that the seller understands MLS benefits. They are waiving or delaying with the exempt listing, such as broader immediate exposure of their listing through the MLS. And then C, confirmation of the seller's decision that their listing is not publicly marketed and disseminated by the MLS to other subscribers as an office exclusive listing. And their listing will not have immediate public marketing through to IDX and public portal syndication as a coming soon listing, which is funny because now we're being told, of course, that the coming soon listings are being publicly syndicated through the portals, through the IDX to the Redfins and Zillows, which they were not before. So we'll see if they update this. And it actually may have been updated. I took this information a little while ago. I just want to make sure on a different side note, I know we were talking about this and I'll go back to asking, well, let me just take a break. Does anybody have any questions? Let me go to you guys up here, see if there's any chat there. Okay, so nothing there. If anybody has any questions, unmute yourself and ask your questions about coming soon delayed status. The biggest thing is this one business day of marketing to the public. It has to be either in active or coming soon on Air MLS. Okay, no sign, no problem. Like no public marketing, you can do the office exclusive, but it truly means no public marketing, right? You can't post on it on social media that's a public social media site. You can't be on Instagram and saying, great new property available. Right now, you can say great new property available, but you cannot put the address and details about that property. So you know, I've heard people, well, I just put that I have something in North Phoenix. Awfully risky territory there, folks.
I got a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead online.
So you started to talk about the language that would be used. I got part of it.
Oh.
Get ER signed, even if the homeowner wants to delay the listing.
Sure. I can
I
repeat.
didn't get the rest of that paragraph. Can you write it out possibly?
Yeah, and we have it on our stuff, but I can type it out really quickly. It's very easy. Hang on one second. Let me just go into the chat. I guess that'll be the easiest place to do this. Owner.
Or actually, it was owner instructs broker to adjust the, I was reading my wrong notes. Owner instructs broker to adjust the start date, and then I lost the rest of that paragraph. I'm sorry, I asked you the wrong thing.
I got it. No, owner instructs broker to adjust the start date to match the date the listing goes active or coming
And that's
soon in
definitely
Air MLS.
Is that start of this ER or the start of listing?
Okay, the ER is the date that your client signs the ER. Let me finish this real quick. It's state listing was actually whichever is sooner. Okay, so I just sent that to you guys. There's a period at the end. Sorry about that. So the question was, is the start date the date of the ER? No, the date of the ER is the date you create a contract, right? The problem is ARMLS has a start date on the ARMLS plano. Now, our office wants those two to match, but they don't always match. The ER and the ARMLS do not always match. Oftentimes they're different, right? But they're going to complain about that. I'll take that complaint and I'll clear your tab if need be, right? But it'll just get sent to me as the broker. But the point is that if you're you go in and meet with somebody, get the ER signed. Get that listing agreement signed. At that date, that's the date you've gone under contract with them. And by the way, just contract protocol, please, if you are sending documents to your clients, they should never go to you first. They should always go to your client, and you should be signing second for several reasons. One, you need to know that the document's finally been processed. And if you're having to click through and sign it, one would hope you know that it's been executed, right? But the point is that one of the challenges we're seeing right now is people are signing documents, sending their client for the buyer broker agreements. Now, I don't know about you, if you're buyer broker, you're sending something to your buyer broker on October 15th, you go look at homes on the 20th, and funny thing, your client doesn't sign that till November 1st. You were not supposed to show that home. So if you don't have that signed agreement when you're walking into a property, you better have copies of buyer broker agreements printed out and get that signed, because you should not be entering a home. It says it in big bold print. You are not to show properties until you have this executed. That does not mean that you signed it and it's sitting in DocuSign, AuthentiSign, DigiSign, I don't care what sign program. You have to have that signed, not pushed out there for somebody to look at. I laugh at it when I see 2 and 3 week delays on these things that are being signed. Like, how did you do that? Did you just not go look at homes with these people? So, but please, if you don't sign it yourself first, but those dates should match on a listing agreement. Same thing, those dates should match, right? So you've got a scenario where you're taking a listing on, you're out there working with them, getting them to sign it. You go to your appointment on October 22nd. You're there with them on October 22nd. How does that have an October 15th date on it? If you're there with them, cross through the October 15th, and everybody gets to initial that one. I don't normally like cross throughs, but if you literally have a draft somehow that has a different date on it, change that date. Okay. Hopefully everybody got that. I'm going to close that down. I knew I was going to have a little bit of time after this. Did you get your question answered?
Actually, my question was the same one.
Okay.
Is to
Oh,
get that- to get
that,
just to
and
understand.
that phrase, I've had that out there before. It should be part of the ones that we have with Leah. She had something almost identical to that in the little, so to explain, I've got some new agents on here. Every Sunday I send out a newsletter. To try to shorten that newsletter, we rotate several things every week. Some of those are, how do people need to sign contracts, suggested contract phrases that Leah's put together, signing up for Zelle, some of these things that unfortunately take bandwidth, if you will, on the newsletter. So we're rotating those out. If for some reason you need something and you don't have a back newsletter to go to, you can always call the front desk or email the Paradise Valley at realty1group.com and ask for the specific thing. They have those very easy. They can email them to you if you don't have access to that. But again, those rotate throughout the month. There are about, I want to say 6 things that we cycle in and out through the newsletter. So every Sunday around 11 in the morning, you'll get a newsletter from me. We've had a couple of extra newsletters this week because of the
Halloween.
not for Halloween, the telephone, the call,
TCPA.
TCPA that the attorney sent out. So we added that. So basically I normally send 2 newsletters out. One is on Sunday and one is Tuesday morning. The Tuesday morning will have a calendar of what is coming up. So, oops, the sound came through. She's trying to get her sound off. That's very funny. Okay. So I would recommend just if you have never gone to ARMLS, go to armls.com. The data on their system is incredible. And many agents that get started just end up focusing on Flex MLS and not actual armls.com. There is information about Cloud CMA, Kubicasa. Does anybody know what Kubicasa is? Anybody want to create a floor plan? You can create a floor plan. It's an app that ARMLS is paid for you. Okay. So basically you put an app on your phone, you take your phone and you walk through the property and it will give you a floor plan.
Wow.
Okay. So please try it on your own home. Go sign up for the app. Rapid Stats gives you all sorts of data. Rental Beast talks about rental. I believe it's rental. It's kind of rental service. We have something similar here with Realty One Group, with Rent Spree, but that's one that they have. But in addition, let's see if this will, whoops, move forward. So if you go in there, there is a ton of data. The reason I pulled this up, of course, is the rules, regulations, and the IDX. You've got the information on clear cooperation, the NAR settlement, where the fine money you donate to goes. And let me tell you, people are being fined. So you need to know your rules and regs. And actually, that's going to lead me. I mean, you can go read this stuff. That's a little dry. But if you've never looked at their online classes for new agents, one of the things I highly recommend is their orientation, but even more important are the rules and regulations. If you do not know about how to set up your listings, one, and how to use a lockbox, more times than not, agents are fined $500 for opening a lockbox when they weren't supposed to. And I have seen this over and over, and there's not a dang thing you can do. So if you open the wrong lockbox, wrong time, wrong date, wrong house, and it was supposed to have clearance from the owner, all the agent has to do is click violation and you are fined $500. So please learn those rules. Okay. And trust me, over my career, I have walked into some wrong houses from wrong lockboxes. My mistake, I get it, but at least I wasn't fined $500. So it's, I never did. I was asked how much did I pay out? No, but I did have somebody yeah, I donated. No, I did have, I heard a scraping of a chair when we opened a door and I knew it was an empty house and I was like, like I could hear them coming towards the door and we're like, sorry, wrong house. Oops. But seriously, you need to learn those rules and regulations. These courses are very quick. And help yourself out. I don't know about you. I've used Excel for years and years and years. And this morning I learned something new on Excel. So there's always something new to learn. If you feel you're awesome in searching and mapping, I'd still take a few minutes if you've never taken the class, see what you can learn on how to set up those searches and help your clients. Subscriptions and portals, people don't understand that they can set those things up. Now, here at Realty One Group, you can actually do your subscriptions and portals in the One Suite. And I have not explored all of that, but I do know it's there and it is very cool. It pulls from our MLS and puts that data out there in a really beautiful way to your clients. So there are other ways to do it, but Monsoon Tax System, I use that a lot. You see every time I do these reports, that's going, and not through the tax system, it's going through the tax data. But all these things, these classes are really, really simple and easy to go through. I encourage you to do that. Any questions? I'm actually done a little ahead of schedule. Uh-oh, yes.
Cubic Casa is an app.
Mm-hmm. Cubic Casa is an app.
It's kind of cool. So far, I mean, you can download.
Somebody's playing with the Cubic Casa in here. Any questions online? I can stop this recording if people are shy. Let me.
Hi, Melissa. So just a quick
Yes.
question. So just with regards to coming soon, you can market that publicly and such, right? When in the coming,
Yes.
that's not a
Yes,
problem. It's
because
just
it
only when
is-
it's in the limited one. That's the only time we don't do that. Okay.
So the trigger is public dissemination of that property. So once that trigger is hit within one business day, it has to be active or coming soon in an MLS. I shouldn't just say ARMLS. It could be a Tucson. We have people that do stuff all across the state. So it may be one of the other MLSs. So just to be clear, any MLS. Other questions?
Just a general.
Oh, got another question here. Yep.
Just with your experience, your thoughts, kind of like in the battle of the databases between.
Battle of the databases is the question.
Zillow, but then we got homes, we got the agents, and we got Compass, the suits. They
So
are.
Homes, Compass, Clear Cooperation, Zero. You're gonna ask me that
Well,
question?
you
I'm
think
not
I should
answering that
clarify.
question. He's asking, where is this all gonna end? I don't know. Who has the deepest pockets to fight this battle? I honestly, I don't know. I mean, it is obviously a looming battle here. I'm gonna actually stop the recording at that. You don't disappear, folks, but have a great time for those. I'm not gonna record that.